In Kshatriyas, when we teach you, we give you, we said two things are going to happen when you learn Kshatriyas. See, Ramchandra had Kshatriyas, Ravan also had Kshatriyas. They fought the same way. Now, Ravan initially was a great Bhakt of Shiv, and he was a great Mahapurush, a man of great knowledge and wisdom and so on, and you can easily bow to him. So even at the end of battle, even Sri Ramchandra says to Lakshman, go and take some Brahm Gyan from Ravan, because he was a great person one time. But what happened at the end, he went so high, but then Hankar took over.
He couldn't control his vice.
Yeah, power. So Hankar came, ego came, and then he went down slippery road like. But Ravan initially was great, but later on, then Hankar took him over. And so that we have to worry about that as well. Hankar is there as well, like, and there's those vices there. So Karm Khan ki bani jo te ho na ko te jod mahabusur tin me Ram reha parpur. So such warriors who tin me, in them Ram reha. Ram is, they're full of Ram, like. There's Ram inside them. They are filled with Ram, like. Every room, there's Ram, like. Just like that famous picture of Hanuman when you open chest, there's Ram inside, like. That famous katha where he's breaking the beads, the pearls with his teeth, and they think he's just a monkey. He goes, no, I'm looking for this Ram in there. So the value of Ram, and if you have Ram, you have Aram, a relaxed state of being, a happy state of being, a sense of fulfillment, purpur state of being. And that state of being cannot be sacrificed. On the battle, if you think about committing sin in everyday life is great, what about in battle like? There's much more, because you're now aiming, you're going to take life, you're going to commit violence and so on. So if you act out of rage and so on. So the Indian Rishi Munis understood there's Bhiras and there's Rudaras. So Rudaras means when you lose all, you don't care, you lost all control. So when Sati fell into the fires and then Shiv took her body up and starts dancing, the Tandav, eventually Vishnu came through the chakras and dismembered the body to wake Shiva out of that rage. So when you have Rudaras, it means uncontrolled rage. This can happen on the battlefield, but the Kshatriya wants to have Bhiras. Veer is a warrior. And this Bhiras, you have Dharam, Daya, Dhan, Yuddha. Dharam, Daya, Dhan. You must maintain your sense of dharma. And the root of all dharma, dharma ka mool is Daya. And then you must have Daya, like, because dharma and Daya go together. If you claim to have dharma and there's no Daya in you, there's no. And the next is Yuddha, Dhani. So the ones who are true warriors, oh, they are Dhane Bine, like, they would call like they're wise, and they're charitable, they give out. So if you take one step towards them, they take 1,000 steps towards you. Like, so they're giving you this knowledge, they're not holding it back and so on. So Dharam Daya Dhan, then Yudh. So Devi Gun has to be there, like, otherwise on a field of battle, in a state of, so to fight in anger or hate is Ravan Vidya. It has to be done within the reins of dharma and so on. So with Kshatriyas, that's what they say. So when you're fighting in anger, whatever and so on, or you're fighting even for money, like modern day sports, they are fighting for shohrat, they want fame, they want wealth, and many of them nowadays, they will sacrifice their health for it. So they'll take steroids and so on that will destroy their body, and they may destroy their body, but they want that fame and they want that wealth and all this that goes with it. In Kshatriyas, it's never like this. In Kshatriyas, it's a combat art and it's art of finesse and so on, because of blades and weapons and firearms and unarmed and so on. So the dharmic element is not just called integral part of it. The whole Vidya, in Punjabi say parosi hui. Parosi hui? Served in a plate of dharma, like, and so on. That you cannot, because at the end of the day, we're teaching you how to wield weapons that can take life. We're teaching you techniques that minimum is going to pop out your eyes, break arms and legs and so on. So we have to be highly responsible. So every time we start, so even the word like, so the first techniques, it begins with the salutation to Bhairo, Bandate si kal Bhairo, Mahabhair, Udaphair, Jatakuru. Now, what does he mean by that? I'll give you an example of this. So We have opportunity now to explore the philosophy of it. So Bhairo means the horrific one. And there's a myth that one time Brahma, he created Satrupa, his daughter, and he was to create. But then utte mohat ho gaya. He became fascinated by her. And for a moment he lost his mind and began to lust for her. And she went everywhere in all directions and escaped from him. Hence the 5 heads came. And then eventually Shiva appeared and he with Animaka, this finger, he cut off their head. And then that attached, the khopri, the skull attached to his head and became Bhairo-like. Now these are myths. And whereas when I speak of this in the West and so on, and I said, you may take these as just stories and myths and so on, but think of it another way. Think of them as packages. If I want to send, say, this phone to, say, America, I will package it, and then I'll post it, whatever, get the courage to do it. If I didn't have the package around it, it would be lost. So our myths are basically packages of certain truths and wisdom and knowledge that's come down. And these myths have come down thousands of years, hence they survived. And so the object within the package may be that much, but the package may be so much, but the package is required like. So in this myth, this is the beautiful thing about it. So the first thing about Brahma lusting for his daughter, it shows that even someone like Brahma, who's authoritative of the Vedas and so on, and he's the proper Brahmagyan, even he can be enticed by lust. So who are we like? So we have to be careful against lust and so on. Then Bhairo, he takes a horrific form because Shiv takes a horrific form because he's done Brahmatya. And Brahmatya here means not Brahmins, that people say, oh, Brahmins. Brahmin means the ones who know Brahm, ones people with knowledge. Any society that starts targeting its so-called knowledgeable citizens of wisdom and gyan and dhyan is going to suffer. That's what Pol Pot did. He started killing everybody who was anybody educated. The Chinese did the same as well in the Chinese Revolution. Anybody who's half knowledgeable in whatever past knowledge, they start to kill off. But if you start doing that, the society is going to crumble. If all the intelligent, educated people are targeted. We need to nurture the educated people, the wise people, the intelligent people. And as a consequence, Brahmatya attached to Shiva. And then he took on a horrific form called Bhairo. He wandered around the lands with a trail of bhoot, pret and everything behind him. And then the story myth goes, he came to Deodar forest, which is basically pine wood trees, like in north, whatever. And there lived the Rishi Munis, the sages. And those Rishi Munis were Gresti, they had wives and so on. The Rishi Munis were out. And when Shiva came there, they first saw Shiv, they saw this horrific form, Bhairo with bhoot, pret, he was naked. He had an itphalic phallus, meaning erect phallus. And yeah, they were like shocked, the ladies. But they were also the wives of Rishi Munis, so they were also enlightened ladies. A lot of people forget the Rishi Munis in Indian tradition are both male and female. A lot of people forget
Rishikas.
that. Rishikas exist as well. Like, and the Rishikas, when they saw, then they realized with Bhairo there was a deer, a little deer, with the Bishku form of Bhairo, and they realized now the deer represents something benign and innocent like a child. And if you look at the Pashupati seals of Harappa Mohenjo-daro, even there, the Pashupat sitting there has a deer with him. And this deer symbology with Shiva goes throughout history, like, so it's very, very ancient. Like.
Chanchal pravritti.
Yeah. So the deer also some benign and kind. And the Rishikas, they understood that this is nothing to be feared. So there's a saying we have in the Akhara which says, do not fear, but understand. Darida hunda, samjida hunda. Do not fear, but understand. Once you have an understanding of something, the fear will go like. As soon as they understood that this is nothing to be feared, because the deer is there with them, they saw Shiv. And then they came and they bowed and they offered or bhiksha, whatever they gave. And then they sat down, they listened to the Brahmagyan from Shiv. But when their husbands came, they also at first just saw something horrific. And their wives sitting around, their sadhu and so on, like this, half all naked and so on. And they were angered. And as they came in anger, but their wives, who were very sharp, they stepped up and told them to, look there, there's the deer. So they then understood and they asked forgiveness and sat down and so on. So from this tale, he says, then the rishis understood. And what did they understand? They said, nothing is to be feared, everything is to be understood. Then Shiva in this myth eventually goes to Banaras, Kashi, and then the skull falls up, and then we have the Emirates. But the story, the bottom line here in this myth, if the myth is the package, What's the nugget inside? The nugget inside is nothing to be feared, everything to be understood. Now, if you look at Indian tradition now, Rag Bhairo is the morning rag. It's the rag of Shant, peace. I mean, if you say, this is the horrific rag. Like the Rag Bhairo means the horrific raga. But it is played at Amrit Bela, it's played at Brahmmurat in the morning because it's supposed to be, it is Shantras. Now, the deeper meaning of this is understood. You will only attain Shanti if you confront your fears and understand them.
Not running away from it.
Not running away. So in Kshatriya, throughout Kshatriya, every aspect of the Vidya has these myths from the Sanatan tradition. So, because that's the only way these techniques could survive, like. Otherwise, these understandings, these principles, the philosophy of God. So they're the same myths that we have generally throughout India, but they give different interpretations of them and so on. Because everybody uses them slightly different ways.